It's something like, let's say you're selling beats to rappers, right? As producers, we might be really excited about like, oh, you're going to get like, you know, the 24-bit wave track outs, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, these sounds are, the sounds on here are all original. I didn't use any loops. And, you know, and the drums, you know, I recorded in my basement with 7 mics and blah, blah, blah. And like that rapper singer doesn't care. Like it's what's the benefit to them, right? All right, on the Midi Money Podcast today, we have Simon Servida. What's up, bro?
I am good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm so glad that worked. Like, we tried that just a second ago, and I literally, like, it was like 10 minutes of me fumbling, like, trying to get everything set up. And it was finally like, okay, I'm ready to go. And today we have Simon Servida. And then you were frozen. And at first,
Yeah.
I thought you were trolling me. Like, I thought you were, like, joking. I was like, all right, come on, let's go. Like, that was hilarious.
That's pretty on brand of me. I would have done that if I had the idea.
Yeah, but then like, you know, 30 seconds later, I was like, he's either really good at staying still and committing to the bid or something went wrong. But here we are. We did it. We got everything going. Man, what's how's your day been going?
It's been good. It's getting really busy right now. I'm doing like my very first launch. That's gonna be on Monday. So it's just been crunch time.
Yes. Okay, I'm excited, man. We're gonna get deep into that in a second. But I guess real quick, little
Mhm.
context. I think a lot of people watching this are gonna know who you are, but maybe just like quick backstory. How did Simon Servida become Simon Servida?
So he was born 1994, and then started being introduced to music around the age of 7 when my parents just gave me piano lessons. And not like because I was a musical prodigy or anything. They were just kind of throwing extracurriculars at me. And then maybe first year high school, I started making beats in FL Studio just because it looked really fun. And then I kind of kept going from there. I went to university for music composition. After I graduated that, I started my YouTube channel in 2018 and just been making videos and music ever since.
Awesome. Love it. And now you've got a big following. People love you. We did an Instagram live the other day, and I swear more
Mhm.
that like I got, you know, some well-known producers and people, but man, people show you love on like another level, man. People love you, bro.
I'm very
Um
grateful for that. Yeah, I love them back.
Yeah, man. I guess since I brought it up, I'm sure it's hard to quantify, but like what do you think are some of the reasons why? And maybe, you know, it's just you naturally being you, but is there anything that you could give advice to as far as like, you know, producers or anybody as far as like how do you cultivate that kind of relationship with an audience?
Um, Definitely think it's me being me. I think just my personality. I'm trying to put that in kind of every aspect of my content. But
Right.
I think I give a lot in terms of just knowledge and tutorials and stuff. So maybe there's just a certain feeling of generosity.
Hmm.
But just giving like free sauce like that is just a good way to get yourself noticed. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the basis for it.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. You give value up front. You know, you help people, you get them results. And yeah, and you know, give that value first. That
Mhm.
totally makes sense instead of like trying to ask first, trying to sell first, that type of
Yeah,
thing.
that does not work. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I
man.
tried that at the beginning before I started my YouTube channel.
Oh, interesting. Tell me about that. What was your process at first that it sounds like didn't work that well?
Just like, hey, go listen to my beat and tell me what you think. And then I was kind of justifying it in myself. I'll be like, oh, the value you're getting from listening to my beat is you get to hear a good beat, which is
Hmm.
nothing. But that's because that's not real value. And you can't really, like, strangers aren't entitled to your time. You really have to make it worth their while.
Bro, no, I'm so glad you said that because I think that sometimes people like everybody hears, oh yeah, lead with value, always give first. But I think it's so common as producers, as artists, whatever, we think that our value is our music, and in a way it is, but really
Yeah.
that's what you're asking, right? You that's in this situation, you're hoping to sell it or get a placement or you know even just get their attention, like you said. That's a big deal. Getting somebody's attention for a couple minutes is that's valuable. And so the value you bring at first is not that. It's got to be something
Yeah.
else. It's got to be helping them or you know doing something for them, entertaining them, you know, helping them in some way, giving them some kind of value, engaging on their social media profile and giving them some attention, whatever it is, it's not your music probably first. That's not the value.
No, unfortunately not. Like music is kind of just the bare minimum.
Yeah, and I think ultimately it becomes the thing, right? Because then you start that relationship the way that you're talking about, like, okay, you got a result from them, you helped them, you entertained them, you did something first for them, and then it's like, oh, by the way, like I have these beats available, or I have these kits available, or I have this course available. Then it's the value. It's just you can't lead with that.
Exactly.
At least that's been my experience. So, okay. So then, all right. So that didn't work that well. So then what was the next, what was the next move from there?
Yeah. So just trying to get noticed, which was the YouTube channel, putting out tutorials and stuff. I just graduated university, and I just noticed within, this little YouTube community, music theory wasn't something that was super, super in depth yet. So I thought, there's a little pocket for me to fill myself into. So I did a lot of that, little type beat tutorials. I tried everything, but just giving as much information as I can.
Yeah, nice. And what made you pick YouTube as that first platform to focus on?
Definitely just the exposure. Like obviously it pays pennies of pennies, and that's where people watch a video. So you can't really blame that. I'd love if they had Spotify rates, but I'm sure you get more views on YouTube than Spotify daily.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also for what you were doing for tutorials, it also makes more sense as a platform, because it is sort of a search-based platform where people are going to search for, music theory for producers, or, whatever those keywords are that
exactly
that you're focusing on. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And I like thinking about it, IG didn't even have like IGTV. It was still 60-second video max. Like that might have been the only option now that I think about it.
Yeah. So really that was the
Vimeo.
option, was YouTube. Yeah, well, Vimeo, nobody's discovering you on Vimeo. I use Vimeo for hosting, for like, to put videos up on my funnels and stuff. Because YouTube embedding those videos sucks, because you'll play your video, right? And maybe you're pitching them, or you're telling them about your product, and then it's going to pop up with suggestions of a bunch of different videos. And it's like, no, like in this context, that's super distracting. That's not really what we want. So I use Vimeo for that. But
yeah.
Okay. So then you were like, okay, at first trying to kind of go for the sale immediately isn't working. Let me put some value out there. The platform that makes sense right now is to do some tutorials and stuff on YouTube. And I am curious, because it sounds like you were originally trying, the main focus was selling beats.
Yeah.
What made you pick doing YouTube tutorials aimed at producers?
I don't know. Like it was just a stupid move. The play was let's say I'd make a Kendrick Lamar type beat, and then in sync with that, I'll make a Kendrick Lamar tutorial. So I'm thinking, okay, now these guys are gonna listen to the tutorial, they'll buy the beat, but producers aren't buying beats from me. They're not rappers. Right. I'm not hitting the artist. So then I kind of switched it over to, making more content that's catered to producers. So the drum kits and the samples and the course that I'm putting out soon.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And it, like, what you're doing makes sense from like a content perspective, where you're essentially repurposing that content, right? You made a beat, and then you also made a tutorial of how to make that beat. Like it makes sense. The part that doesn't make sense is those are two different customer avatars.
Exactly.
It's two different audiences.
Yeah.
So
the work process is still the same, but I kind of just repurpose it differently. So instead of me just making a beat, I'm not going to sell that beat to the rapper, but every drum sound I make, I designed that from scratch. That's going to be in my new drum kit. If I make that melody, that's going to be in a new sample kit. Then the video itself, that's going to be a YouTube tutorial. So I'm still really efficient with the workflow in that sense.
Smart. Yeah, no, I love that whole repurposing concept. I think sometimes it can be super overwhelming, where people are like, okay, I gotta send out an email. I have to create a YouTube video. I have to put content on Instagram. I have to, I have to put out a tweet or whatever, like all, something on TikTok, whatever. But it's like, you can take that same pillar content, would be Gary Vee's term for it, right? and create all kinds of other stuff from it, right? And so I think what a lot of people think about is like, oh, you take like a long video and chop it up, which yes, that works great with this
Mm-hmm.
podcast right here. We're going to be doing that for sure, where we'll have the full version. We'll have, you know, really short clips that we can use for like Instagram stories. We'll have a little bit longer clips for Instagram feed. We'll get a summary of the whole thing that we'll use for a blog post and for an email. And, you know, so we're going to repurpose it a million ways. But
Yeah.
as producers, we can repurpose our music in all these different ways where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that beat, you could sell that beat also.
Yeah.
You know, you could take a beat, you could sell it to a rapper, you know, non-exclusive license. You could look at licensing for TV and film, right? You
Yep.
could shop it there, get into some libraries. You could, like you said, take the drums and put that in a drum kit, take the loops and put that in, you know, a loop kit or together as a construction kit. You could film yourself making it and make a tutorial out of it. Like it's endless basically what you can do with that one thing. It's not like you have to create different things for it. It's just kind of what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
I think that's
smart. It's just being efficient.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. So it sounds like it's kind of like, okay, I'm, you know, you're being smart from a content perspective, not so smart from the audience perspective, but it sounds like so you realize that, but it sounds like you must have enjoyed making that content enough or got enough of a response for the producer content that you thought instead of, oh, let me switch up my content to actually be for the original audience I was looking for, rappers and singers. It was, no, I'm enjoying this audience or I'm finding this audience. So let me create products and services for them. Was that kind of the thought process?
Yeah, you know, content-wise, it hasn't changed much from when I started. You know, at the outro, instead of me saying, if you want to buy this beat, go to my store, it's if you want to get the drums I use, go to my store. That's really all that changed. I'm still just making a beat on FL Studio at the end of the day.
Smart. Yeah. Same thing. Cool. And then so what's been because I definitely want to get to the launch and the course, but you know, leading up to that and sort of, let's say, before that and currently, what's the business model like? So it sounds like packs and kits. What else as far as how you're monetizing?
That's a big one. The just straight up YouTube revenue, that's a big one. You know, even though it's pennies, like that's gonna start adding up exponentially as long as you keep uploading videos consistently. Sponsorships is also a really big one. Those are the main three. I used to do like some consultations and mixing and mastering stuff, but I wasn't able to, you know, maximize my time with that because, you know, a 30-minute consultation is a 30-minute. You can't really stretch that one as much as, you know, just making a beat by yourself. So I kind of stopped doing those. So those are the three that I'm mainly focusing on. And then the course is going to be hopefully another big one.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Because that's the one thing you named where there's a direct relationship between the time and the amount of money you can make, right? You can, I mean, you can charge more and more, but it's still in that 30 minutes. That 30 minutes is 30 minutes. Whereas when you're creating that beat and repurposing in a million ways and that content lives on YouTube forever and you can sell that kit forever, you know, that's a whole nother scale of being able to, you know, get benefit from that time. So it makes sense. You know, if you want some unsolicited advice, like if you were to keep doing consulting, you just have to put it at a price where it's worth it to you. And it's going to be it's not going to be worth it to most people, let's say, or whatever. And average person will be like, what the, you know, but some people it will be. That would be my advice on that.
Yeah. Like I thought about like just pricing it higher, but I'm just thinking, people aren't going to, because this is what I think my time is worth. They might not agree with it. So we'll just put it to bed.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, that might be fine. Like if it's not something you're interested in doing. But you might be surprised, you know, that, hey, most people are going to be like, what? There's no way. And there's going to be a few people like, yeah, of course, that's worth it. You know,
it was great at the beginning when I started though. Cause just when I didn't have like all the other kind of revenue streams going, that was a really good one.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder too, you know, cause I used to do a lot of one-on-one consulting, like right before we launched Midi Money, you know, so we've been doing Legion Beats for years, selling beats, you know, getting really good at those processes and honing in on those and all that kind of stuff. But when I knew we were going to launch Midi Money, I did all I did was one-on-one, and I did it, you know, mostly because I wanted to get that feedback. I wanted to see one-on-one where are the roadblocks, what are the frustrations, what, you know, what's the language that producers are using. Even though it's me, even though I'm a producer too, it's still different. Somebody who's starting today has a different perspective than I do today. That's for sure. You know?
Yeah. Okay. I get. Yeah, you're out in the field. You're getting the you're in the trenches there. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's really good research.
Yeah, exactly right. And it was super helpful because it definitely opened up my eyes to like, oh, okay, I do see a lot of people are getting stuck here, and maybe this thing that seems obvious to me is not so obvious, and maybe vice versa, So I'm wondering, I wonder maybe consciously or not, if you doing those one-on-ones helps shape the type of content and products and services that you're creating now, because you did get that one-on-one time with those guys.
Yeah, a bit of that. I also have this series called Fixing My Beats, so I see a lot of similar problems there. So yeah, I listen to a lot of my subscribers' beats when I live stream, so I see a lot of similarities when it comes to what they're struggling with, just based off what I hear off the music itself. And I kind of, repurpose my content to really help target those mistakes.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So really, you're still doing it. It's just built in a different way.
Yeah.
But because what you're helping with people is essentially creating music, right? And you're approaching that from all kinds of angles,
Hmm.
packs, kits, tutorials, courses. But that's what you're doing. So if you're, listening to people's beats all the time, then you're still in the trenches, and that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, man. And I still do some one-on-one stuff and definitely group stuff, and because I think you have to. I think wherever you are, it's really hard to um it's hard to know unless you are having that interaction. Like you can't just like slap a course together and then just leave it there forever. You know what I mean? Like you have to
Hmm.
like get that feedback.
Exactly.
Um, you know what I mean? So, um, speaking of, let's get to the course. So you've been working on this course, man. So you're saying this is your
Oh man.
first. So you've done a million tutorials, you've taught, you've whatever, but this is your first like course. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a music production course. So it's mainly it's kind of like a mix of what I learned at university, as well as, just 10 years of experience producing, like all the mistakes I learned and, what works, what doesn't work.
Awesome. What's the name of the course?
Pro level beats.
Pro level beats. Dope. And what's the focus? Like what I mean, it's how to make beats, but is
Yeah,
there
definitely favored toward music theory. Yeah, once again, just filling in that empty space that I think needs to be filled in our community.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, a bit of production, but definitely favored toward music theory the most, because it just
Nice.
feels like something that people are lacking in.
Yeah, no, it's not something that I hear a lot of people talking about, and certainly not getting deep into. I wonder, it is honestly, I've faced an issue, I guess, or whatever, which is that what I talk about mainly with my content for producers is business and marketing, right? Which is something
Hmm.
that's like it's at least perceived as being dry and boring, right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing my best to change that perception, because to me it's really fun and I geek out on it and I think it's great. And I imagine it's the same for you with music theory, where
Hmm.
it's like you probably love it and it's fun, it's where you play, it's your sandbox, you can get in there and you understand it so that you can create all these different cool things. But I know for me that was definitely a challenge, and I embrace it. I like it because to me it's like, okay, part of my job is to help show how the stuff can be fun so that producers can do it, so that they can have success. Has that been your experience with music theory at all? Is that a little bit of a challenge to do something that's a little bit more dry?
Um, yeah, it definitely looks dry just because like of the terminology and stuff, but it sounds good. And that's at the end of the day, that's kind of how I promote like the majority of my stuff. It's, I'm not like really being overly aggressive with buy my drum kit. I'm just gonna make a beat and I say, if you like the sound of these drums, maybe you should go buy this. So if you like the way that I switch that chord up right there, maybe take a look at the theory course.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. It makes sense. It's I guess the equivalent on my side would be like, hey, maybe
Mm.
you didn't like that, but
And look
I'm
look at
making a
the
great
bank. Look at the
living.
bank
Check out
account. Yeah. Mm.
check out the
Mm.
new car. Whatever. Not I mean that's pretty douchey, but
Yeah.
some version of that. Hey, I have this
Yeah.
fulfilling, profitable business and it's pretty cool. Um what about for the so within that also, like what I do talk about the results, but I think that's part of it. But also what I talk about, which I think helps, is learning to actually enjoy the process.
Mm.
Is that something that you kind of talk about, or is maybe that just kind of naturally comes from you start doing it and you learn some
I
new chords and learn some new theory and it sounds good, and that's where the fun comes from?
Yeah, I'm hoping like just the passion I give just rubs off on them, because I don't actually talk about it in specific, but
Right.
I look like I'm having fun in the course, so maybe it'll trick them into thinking that too.
No, I think that's a great point. And it's not a trick. It's for sure, your energy, your passion, your excitement, your all that good stuff it's why people already watch your stuff anyways, right?
Hmm.
In addition to the content being good. And so I'm sure for the course it's going to be the same thing. That is what's going to make it fun, is because it is you and your energy, teaching that. What was your approach as far as creating the course itself? Like, okay, here's big picture what I want to do. Let me chunk that down into modules and then create an outline, or
Yeah.
I'm really curious about that because I've been doing a lot more of that type of content creation lately, and I'm wondering
Hmm.
what your process is.
So I partnered up for this course. I partnered up with like a marketing guy, and
Mhm.
he's been kind of just pitching in for the entire process. Like as soon as we started the course outline, and it's really good to have someone who doesn't come from a music perspective, because okay, like music theory is fun, but there are some parts that can get a bit boring. Like there's some, like if you're at the very basics, you have to memorize like this note right here, and there's nothing fun about memorizing a note. So he's like telling me, oh yeah, it gets a little dry during this section, you might want to break it up here. So, and he kind of gave it like a video game progression outline. So we're like, okay, we'll start with the beginner stuff and we'll go more complex. Oh, this genre is more complex than this genre, and then we kind of brought it down like that. But I think I think it's structured really well for with whatever experience you have when it comes to music.
That's awesome. No, I think there's two big gems in there. One is, oh, now I forgot the first one, but the second one was gamification. And, how can you gamify things, whether if that's,
Mhm.
especially something like a course that can be really daunting, right?
Yeah.
Let's just, even past the point where, okay, you already, you know, had your sales process, whatever it is, to show people, hey, this is exciting, you should get this. And that, but then they get in there, right? And then they're like, oh my God, there's, how, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 videos, whatever it is. And there's all these things. And it's like, man, this looks like a lot. But I found something that's super helpful is gamifying it in some kind of way, saying, okay, level 1, then level 2, maybe
Yeah.
giving them, something that we've done is giving them certain little incentives and prizes and stuff that we don't even talk about when we're selling it. But it's like, hey, once you're in here, it's like, once you get to this level, let us know, and we're going to send you, a t-shirt. We're going to send you this special plaque. We're going to send you this, whatever, all these different things
Oh,
for like a comp. Yeah, man.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
we got to get you, some Midi Money prizes. I'm sure you qualify for a couple. Uh,
Okay, I'm down.
because yeah, I know you, checked out some of the funnel stuff and everything. But yeah, anyways, it just helps because it gamifies it. It makes it fun. It's like, of course, the real value is you do the thing and you get the results, right? You learn the theory and you make better beats. You learn the
Mhm.
marketing and you, start to make money, but being able to add elements where it feels like a game really helps. And I think that can be not, I know probably most of the people watching this are not creating a course right now. But even if, let's say, you're selling beats to rappers, how can you gamify that process? Even stuff like, I've seen in stores where it's like you get points, with each
Mhm.
purchase, you get a certain number of points, you get something, or, I've seen even in email, like you can do stuff where, and certain email autoresponders will do this for you, but like, hey, if you open emails, you get a certain number of points. If you click, you get a certain number of points, and then you end up, winning whatever. You get some free beats.
I'm just like picturing in my head like a BeatStars rewards visa or something.
Yeah, bro. Honestly,
A stamp
yes.
card.
Yes, for real. No, that is gamification, right? You go
Yeah.
to whatever your sandwich spot and they check your little card, and it sounds silly, but you get a little
Yeah.
dopamine hit every time they hit that little thing, first of all, and you're one closer to that 10th free sandwich. You know what I mean? And you're, when you're trying to decide, man, do I want to go to this sandwich spot or this other? Like, man, I'm like 3 sandwiches away from that free one. Like, let me, it works. It's
Yeah.
fun.
It is fun. Clogs up the
And
wallet though, but it's a different story.
oh, having the little cards in there.
Yeah. Oh, I get hoarding with that stuff.
Yeah. What rewards cards will we find in your wallet these days?
It's stamp.
Maybe
It's
not.
food stuff. It's food stuff. It is the sandwich shop. It is the ramen place. It's just, I go there once every 3 months and I just like, oh yeah, just give me a new card. Okay, whatever.
Oh, that's when it really becomes a problem is you forgot the other card, so you get a new card, and now you
Mm,
got to combine the cards. Now you got 3 cards for the same place. Yeah,
yeah.
I feel it. I feel it, man. Yeah. So gamification. Now I forgot. I swear I had another point about you putting the course together. That was a gem. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Okay, so you're putting the course together.
Hmm.
Your process for doing it. You're talking about how you're working with some. Oh, that's what it was. You're working with dude, and he's got an outside perspective. And so when
Mm,
you start to say something that's like really dry or advanced, you're going to lose people because he doesn't understand it. He can be your barometer to say, hey,
hmm.
this is too complex or too boring or whatever. So I think that's super helpful. And so if you can have other people look at your stuff or at least just be conscious of it. It's something like, let's say you're selling beats to rappers, right? As producers, we might be really excited about like, oh, you're going to get like, the 24-bit wave track outs, blah, blah, blah. And, these sounds the sounds on here are all original. I didn't use any loops. And, and the drums, I recorded in my basement with 7 mics and blah, blah, blah. And like that rapper singer doesn't care. Like it's what's the benefit to them, right? You said you can show them like, hey, listen to what this sounds like. Bling, next to this, bling, 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 and then and then they're like, oh man, like, yes, I see the benefit to me, as opposed to getting deep into like these words they don't understand or stuff that's
Yeah.
over their head or stuff that's going to impress somebody else who understands theory
Yeah.
already, but that's not your audience. Your audience is the people that you're
Exactly.
going to learn that, that you're going to teach that to.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was the other gem in there. So then the guy that's helping with marketing, it sounds like he also helped with the little bit of the structure of the course itself,
Yeah.
as far as like,
Yeah. So we were kind of just like going through that back and forth with each other until we got the outline. And then I started filming. He started working on the sales page. So like he's been a big help because I've only been doing videos. So, but he's like, made the membership website, the sales page. He's going to run the ads and stuff. And
yeah,
I'm just going to sit back and just relax after all these videos are done.
yeah, man. Yeah, man. So yeah, for there too, I know for me, like I always work with a team to some extent. Like there's pretty much
Hmm.
nothing that gets released to the world that hasn't touched a few hands,
Hmm.
and so I think a lot of times finding other people who, their superpower is something that's
Yeah.
other than yours and teaming up is super, super
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah. Just playing to your strengths pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. And I think like there's two sides to it, like not being afraid to explore different things, try
Hmm.
stuff. Don't just assume, I feel like I've told these, my story so many times, but like, I never thought I'd have any interest in marketing or business, like at all. Like it wouldn't have had occurred to me. But then when I started diving into it, and kept with it for a little bit. At first I sucked and I still didn't like it, but then eventually I got good at it, and now it's really fun. So I'd say like both sides, like try stuff because you never know, but also teaming up with people that have that superpower is ultimately going to be super beneficial. I
Yeah.
think that's really smart.
I feel like time takes a big toll on that part as well. Just like if I have time to learn something, I will, but you know, this is a good season to put it out right now. So let's push through it.
Yes, and you are at a point now in your business, in your career, where um that time is better served doing the things that you're best at, and
Hmm.
you have some money to invest, right, to or
Yeah.
whatever it is. You have some capital, right? Maybe, I don't know what your deal with this guy is, but if nothing else, maybe it's he sees the potential in it and you're doing a profit share. Like, I don't know, but the point
Hmm.
is you've done the work to get to the point to where now you can bring that team on, or at least team up with somebody else. So I think
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
I
At the
think that's
start
smart.
though, when I
Yeah,
just started, everything was by myself. My goodness, what a grind. All the
bro.
editing, all the filming, all the marketing, if I knew how to market before, all by myself.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Producers, um, it's uh, it's so much work. There's so many different pieces to
Hmm.
it. It's and then you layer on, okay, yeah, I'm a producer. Even just being a producer, like literally just like making music, like that's a million things.
That's like 10 different hats already under
Right.
the word producer.
Right. Now you're a content creator, right? So now
Mm-hmm.
you're shooting video, you're editing video, you're coming up with the ideas for the, uh, and you're like a, social media manager or whatever, right? Because you got to figure out how to put it out there in some kind of way that people are going to find it.
Make my resume sound really good right now. Keep going.
Right. And you're a business owner and marketer and entrepreneur because you're figuring out, hey, I got to get paid for this thing. So you're figuring something out, and each one of those jobs are like just business owner, entrepreneur by itself is insane. The amount of, so I think that that's something that's like a gift and a curse for producers, is that we end up doing so many different things, and it's great because we learn all these different skills. But then at a certain point, I think it's really important to do what you did, which is, hey, let's start teaming up with some people. Let's not try to do everything alone forever, because it's really just not, it's not smart.
It's not as funny either.
That's true too. Definitely not as fun, and especially if it's the stuff that that you're not as good at. Not to mention it's just fun to team up with people and see how they take, let's say, your vision and add to it and make it better, or vice versa. Cool, man. Okay, so you got the idea for the course. You knew it was time. You found somebody who's going to help you with the pieces of it that weren't as much your strength. And you know what I like too is that you worked with him, and when you created the course, you were thinking about, or I assume at least he was thinking about, the marketing of it at the same time. Because I think a lot of times we approach it the other way, where it's only just like, all right, I'm going to make what I want to make, or what I, just what I think is going to be good. But if you don't think about that customer while you're creating it, then ultimately it's not going to serve them, because it's not going to appeal to them in the first place.
Yeah. Before we actually made the course outline, we created a little survey first. So I just put it on my community tab on YouTube. And then like people were lucky enough to answer it. And then they were really honest about what they had problems with. And then I kind of focused the course outline on that.
Smart. Yeah, no, definitely getting that feedback is super helpful, because, you think, but you don't, you don't really know. You have your own perspective, and you're not the one buying your own stuff. Other people are. So ultimately their opinion, I mean, anybody, you make beats, you already know, like, there's the beats that you're like, oh, this one's crazy, people are going to go nuts for this one. And then it's like crickets. And then there's some other beat, like, oh, it's a throwaway beat, nobody cares, nobody's going to like this. And then that's the one that people like. So it's the same thing.
I'm still kind of stubborn about that. There's every piece of content I put out, if I don't like it, I'm not putting it out. I have to be I'm the biggest fan of my music.
I love that. I love that you said that. Most people always say I'm the biggest critic of my music. So I love that, that you're the biggest fan. That's awesome.
I only make music for myself. That's it. So if it's on YouTube, it's because I liked it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to think if we're disagreeing, or if there's middle ground there, like if there's common ground. Cause I think, like, for sure you shouldn't put out something that you think is garbage. Right. So, but I guess I wonder, okay, so like the music itself, for sure, you're making sure that you love, but when you create the content, are you thinking about the person that's going to be consuming that content as you create it? Like the editing of the video, the creating of the video?
I try to give myself like a really outside perspective. Like I'll make a thumbnail. I'll stand back to the background of the room. Like, yeah, I think I'd watch that. And then I'll save and export that.
Okay. So I think we actually agree, because the content that you're creating in this case is the video, right? It's the tutorial, it's whatever. So you are thinking about the end user in that case.
I'm just picturing them as myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that helped. It's not always the case with every business, but if your customer avatar can be really close to you, it's pretty helpful, because then, the whole thing is, how can I get in the mind of this person so that I can serve them the most, I can help them the most, I can speak their language, I can show them that I have, the thing that can help them. And there's no easier way to get in the mind of that person than if that person happens to you. beat you. That's always pretty that's always convenient.
Yeah, I think it shows in my demographics as well. They're around my age range and male. So
yeah, man. Oh my God. I look at on any platform, you know, whenever they show those demographics, it's like it's such a high percentage males. I don't know how much that's
it's
I don't know.
it's weird. I don't know. I don't know. It's music. Everyone likes music. I'm not sure why females aren't as interested in it. Maybe they're not.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not exposed to it, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
not sure.
I guess neither of us are maybe qualified to say, but I think it's a problem. It doesn't seem right. There's something strange that the ratio is so different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially it's not like music industry heavy. It's really independent stuff. Like it's just a
Yeah.
YouTube, so you can feel free to post whatever you want. I'm sure everyone's gonna be welcoming of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what that is. I don't know. Um, okay. So let me think. So you've got the course, you've got the outline, you're starting to kind of work on the marketing side of it with Dude. What phase are you at like right now? This will probably be released, if I had to guess, in the next like 2 weeks, just so you know.
Monday.
If that
This Monday.
This Monday. Okay, so it's going to be out.
Yeah.
It's going to be out
Yeah.
by the time you guys are watching this podcast. So go get it.
I have
First of all, where do they go?
They go to prolevelbeats.com. I haven't
Bam.
announced it officially yet. I'm going to on Monday.
Awesome.
But yeah, I still have to film one, like the sales trailer of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're pretty much done.
Awesome. What's the do you have like an outline or script or idea for that sales trainer? Or what the sales trailer?
I'm thinking of doing two versions. There's one that's going to be on the sales page of Pro Level Beats, and that's going to be like a bit more of an aggressive sell, like, oh, by the way, the course is only open for 5 days. This is what the bonuses you get. And then I might make like a alternate director's cut on my YouTube channel where I just talk a bit more honest and real about it. But so I'm thinking like for the sales page people, that's going to be for like the cold audience that comes in who have no idea who I am. But then I'll give like a more genuine like opinion of like why they should get it on my actual YouTube channel.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that is a smart idea, is to sometimes segment your content to where it's like, this content is going to be best for somebody who doesn't know who I am yet. If part of your strategy is, like, let's say, for example, you're running ads to, you know, audiences that hopefully are interested but don't know you. And hey, I have this audience that knows me and loves me. Let me speak to them. And it's going to be slightly different. Again, of course, it's not that you're lying or whatever. It's just the way that you'd approach it would be.
Yeah, we have a different connection than the other guy.
Exactly. The way that I would speak to, a close friend is going to be different than I'd speak to an acquaintance, right? Just the language and the level of context I'd have to give to the acquaintance would be different. Same thing. And I think that that's important too, to think about in all your content, like be aware of that, because it makes a difference, right? If you're sending out an email to your list, you might want to think about like, okay, the way that I'm going to speak on here might be different than a sales page that I'm running cold, a cold audience to, because they're going to react differently.
That was like probably my biggest mistake when I did the ClickFunnels. I think that was like one of the biggest mistakes, because I did the sales page, and I pretty much copied and pasted your dialogue, just the way you talk.
Smart
and
man.
We talk very differently. And
Okay.
then I brought in the audience that knew me so well over like the last 2 years. And then they just come into the sales page and it's just a completely different person. But my face is right there. So like, what's going on here? And then that's kind of it. That's where it fell short for me.
That's interesting.
But it was a good learning experience.
That's interesting. So we gotta go back through that, because I know we can get you some really good results. And that's something that, of course, and it sounds obvious now looking back. But like, we can take the optimizing that flow, that, the step-by-step, but make it you. And then that's how it's going to work. Cause
exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise they're going to go in there. And like you said, they're going to be like, what the hell? That's like, why is he talking like that? I don't know. It's weird. Super
Yeah,
important. And I think,
yeah.
go ahead.
You
What
gotta
were you gonna say?
personalize your content, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And there's some nuance there, right? Because I do talk about like, hey, model after success. If somebody's done something that you want to do,
Mhm,
look at what were the steps that they took to do it. How do they have the pages laid out? What are the emails that are going out? How did they advertise? All those things like of course model after success. But then it's not just copy, because if you copy, just like this is a perfect example, like I don't know if you're trying to speak in my voice, it's like first of all, it just sounds weird, it sounds different, and people love you because they love you, you know what I mean?
mhm,
So then it's sort of it's modeling, but understanding even on a deeper level, where it's not just like, okay, I'm going to model after him by doing exactly what he did. Model after me by doing like, okay, here's the structure of it, here's the flow, but I see in this video he talked about himself and presented his offer in the way that made sense to him. Now
mhm.
let me do that, let me take the pieces of that makes sense, but do it in my voice and for my
Yeah,
audience.
exactly. Yeah, I was probably just really lazy.
Yeah,
Copy
it
and
is a
paste
thing.
seems like a better idea. It's a time-consuming process. Like, it took me like 30 minutes to get a Facebook pixel set up. Like, my goodness.
Yeah, it can be time consuming for sure. And it is something that it's interesting because actually the way that we presented it in, like in Midi Money, as far as helping people get their funnels up and running, it's changed a little bit, because at first it was very much like, here's the exact funnel, which we still do, but it had all the copy on there, it had all the words, it had everything. And we still kind of do that, but now what I have is there's certain things in brackets where it's like, you know, how to, you know, how to blank without blank or whatever, and then explain in context in the course,
Yeah.
like, okay, here you should fill in this sentence with the things that make sense to you. Here's the structure. Here's the purpose of this. Here's the psychology behind why you'd put this headline here. But now
Hmm.
you kind of do have to write your own headline, and I'm going to guide you through it. But it's got to come from you, because yeah, if you just use my exact headline,
Yeah.
it might not work for your audience and for
Yeah.
your
It kind
offer.
of
And
reminds me of like those do-it-yourself books where it's like, oh yeah, write down 3 goals you want, and then write down 3 dreams that you want. And yeah, so it's very the template's there, but you have to fill it a lot yourself.
yeah, no, that's exactly right. And if you copy off somebody's, dreams, then
Yeah.
it's probably not quite going to work. It's probably not going to
Yeah.
be the thing. Um, so with the course, you've got it created. You're going to do a Monday. You said this Monday. So by the time you've watched this, it will have already been released. You're doing would you say a 5-day cart open and close?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Are you doing like a early bird, wait list type of thing?
No, we're just gonna drop it for 5 days. Spam the hell out of them and then close it down.
Got it. Okay. So no any, incentives for getting it earlier, any like surprise bonus towards the end. I'm a marketing nerd. I want to hear if
Yeah,
there's any
there's
fun like
bonuses. Yeah, like there's more than just the course. Like I have a couple of my producer friends who like made beats from scratch, and I'm just giving like my DVD commentary of what music theory they're implementing. I'm giving away my drum kits. If they upgrade, I'm giving like a separate little mixing and mastering course. There's incentives, but yeah, I'm hoping the course just as itself would be enough.
yeah, no, of course, of course. Yeah, my perspective is the product needs to be great.
Hmm.
And then when you layer on some of the fun,
Yeah.
bonus stuff, or incentivize for getting it early, or the day before the cart closes, we decided we're going to add this additional bonus, and
Mm.
hold out for it, stuff like
Yeah.
that sometimes it just makes it fun sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah,
A bonus
but
should be a
hey.
bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm excited to see how the launch goes.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy. I don't
Yeah,
I
please.
want to send people copies, but I don't want to offend them. Like that's the thing. Like I send people drum kits because like it's a drum kit, but like, oh yeah, here's my music theory course. Nudge nudge. Does your music theory suck?
I see what
Or
you're
like
saying.
how are you coming at me right now?
It's like getting somebody a bar of soap, or
Yeah, exactly.
or a mint or something. Like, wait a second, what are you trying to say about me? No, bro, I don't think anybody's gonna take offense if you if you give them your course. That's funny. Um, and maybe you're not sure yet, but as far as 5-day cart open, have you thought about it yet as far as either eventually making some version of it evergreen or doing
Yeah.
like a relaunch, you
Yeah.
know?
So the plan is the 5 days, maybe wait for a month just so I can get feedback from everybody that joined. If I have to, re-record a video or, just, add like something that I missed, then we can kind of just recreate it. And then we'll do evergreen probably in November or something.
Nice, nice. Okay, I like that. Because yeah, you're getting that extra level of feedback so that,
Yeah. Then we
the
can get
longer.
a bunch of testimonials and stuff just so like, okay, people took the course. Here's what they have to say instead of just, right now I'm just grabbing screenshots from like YouTube comments and like Instagram DMs, which are good too.
Yeah.
But, they haven't experienced the course yet.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I think that's really smart. And what yeah, so definitely getting those testimonials is huge. And then what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and then also, a great selling point for people to buy it in this first period, this
Mhm.
5-day period is like, hey, like I don't know, maybe this isn't part of your messaging or not, but I would recommend at least saying it somewhere of like, eventually, we are going to open this up again at some point. But for you guys that buy right now, we're basically customizing this course for you. So we want you guys to go through this. We think the content's already incredible, but I want to make sure that for you guys, my early adopters, the people who are jumping on this right now, that we cater this exactly to you. So only for the people who buy in these 5 days, we're going to get your feedback and we're going to update the course and make it even better exactly to how you want it. And it
That's
becomes
a
an
great
extra
idea.
selling
Yeah.
point for that first group where it's like it adds even more urgency, like, oh damn, I want to be in the beta
Mhm.
group, I want to be in the the
The
VIP
beta
group.
group. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good idea. I might say that in my YouTube video.
Nice, nice.
You recorded this, right?
I forgot to hit record. No. Yeah, I sure hope so. We've went through so much trying to get this thing set up that I really hope so. No, we've got it recorded. um Exciting, man. I can't wait to see the numbers and how it goes and the results and all
Mhm.
that good stuff. Okay, so we've got the course coming up. um I feel like we should talk a little bit about like free content also. I know we kind of have. One thing I've noticed is that it seems like you haven't been putting out a ton of content recently. Is there any strategic thing to that? Is it just you just focusing on the course? Is
Focusing on the course. That's straight
Okay.
up it. I did 50 videos in August alone. Like I've
Uh-huh.
been working my ass off, and yeah, it sucks because like I want to keep the ball rolling, but yeah, YouTube's like it's kind of dangerous to stop posting on YouTube every so often.
Right.
Um, Instagram, I don't really care about Instagram. Like to be honest, like it just feels like that something about Instagram feels like everything dies like after a day. Like
It does.
that doesn't have like a longevity that YouTube has. So I'll just post it if I feel like posting something there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, like 100%. Like, you're going to get 95% of the people who see that content are going to see it in the first, day or two.
Mm-hmm.
I still say there's value to that,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a different type of value, and it is but bro, you get really good engagement on your Instagram. I had to pull it up a second ago. So yeah, bro, I wouldn't sleep on Instagram. I get that for you, YouTube makes sense as the most important one, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at like, your most recent video has like 30,000 views, 414 comments. The one before that's like similar, you know,
I
that,
kind of I don't post I don't promote my Instagram that much. I kind of use that as the gauge of who really likes me. Like somebody who
right.
subscribes on YouTube might not follow me on Instagram, but someone who does both and Twitter, they really like me. So I kind of use like YouTube the YouTube subscriber number versus like the Instagram subscriber number. That's like I'm trying to see like the ratio between that.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the update. You're at 441,000 YouTube subscribers and
Oh,
70,000 on Instagram.
ah, I like that at 69, which is more funny.
You're like, unfollow me, 1,000 people. Um, but yeah. So that makes sense. So it's more like, hey, if they found you on Instagram, it's because they really
Yeah,
care. Whereas
exactly.
YouTube, definitely your hardcore fans are on there, but also people who just search for something about FL Studio or something about music theory or whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely feels like inflated, the 440 number, because I'm not pulling that consistently. Not even close.
Yeah. Well, I think that has to do with the platform and how it's set up. It's not the subscribe. I feel like the way that, and I'm way less of a YouTube expert than you are, so you let me know. But I
Mhm.
feel like on YouTube, especially compared to, let's say, Instagram, it's like Instagram, your engagement and a lot of stuff is largely based on the amount of followers you have. Whereas
Mhm.
with YouTube, you could have a ton of subscribers, but there's not that direct relationship between your subscribers and the amount of views a video is going to get. Is that
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, it really depends where it comes from, because a lot of views don't even come from your subscribers. It might just come from, it being recommended on a random Wednesday.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think that's sort of the nice advantage of YouTube is that you're more likely to get discovered,
Yeah,
right? Because
algorithm.
somebody is
Mhm.
searching for, that keyword, whatever, I don't know, music theory, FL Studio. What are like, if you could rank for like three keywords on YouTube, what would be like your three? Or what are a couple that I'm just curious that you
Probably FL Studio, making a beat making tutorial. Like
nice.
I'm thinking, I think of like 5 words. Like, if, let's say
Yeah.
I'm doing a trap video, it's gonna be FL Studio, trap, beat making, and then I'll just rearrange like all those 4 into just a shitload of tags. How to make a beat in FL Studio, beat making in FL Studio, trap beat making in FL Studio, and just like,
Awesome. And then I know it's different for everybody, blah blah blah. But do you have a couple of those keywords that you actually are ranking pretty good for, or maybe the
I don't know.
long tail keywords?
Um, I don't think I don't go for like the SEO stuff anymore.
Oh,
I
interesting.
try to get in the algorithm, and that's that the recommended videos on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's independent of SEO. No one's like clicking it. You just kind of you see it and you click it or not. So um
Right. But I guess to show up there, it must be the algorithm they're calculating. Okay, enough people saw this, enough people engaged with it. Right? Is that or
yeah,
how do
so
you show up there?
um yeah, no one knows how people show up there. That's the thing. So it could
Sure.
be, I used to think it was just like the view velocity. So, how many people are watching within the first hour. So, maybe let's not post at 4 in the morning.
Hmm.
I'd try to comment on everything, as soon as it posts, just to get like a bunch of engagement and like stuff like that up. But it comes randomly. I had videos that just popped off after 2 days. I've had a video that popped off after 5 months. Like, I have
Yeah.
no idea where it's coming from.
Yeah, yeah, and I think part of it's gonna always be like that. That it, for one thing, they're gonna closely guard that algorithm, right? Because they don't want you to play it
Yeah,
too much. They want you to focus on exactly, basically, what you're doing, which is, well, let me just try to create great content
exactly.
and and hope that I end up there. But I see your strategic, like your thumbnails are eye catching, your
Hmm.
headlines, or sorry, your what the hell are they called on YouTube? Your video
Titles.
titles
Yeah, caps
are.
lock. Oh yeah, that's the game.
What do you say? Caps lock?
Yeah,
All caps, is that
yeah,
that's the big gem is
that is the
YouTube.
game. I
Okay,
don't want it to be the game, but unfortunately, that's what works, which sucks.
interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at some of your, yep,
Yeah,
I see some
I
that are
make a
all
beat.
caps.
It looks like I just saw a ghost. I'm just shocked out of my mind. Like, it's a poltergeist episode. No, it's just making a beat.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I'm seeing some patterns here. I'm seeing you making like a weird surprise, sort of like dramatic, probably negative, but maybe sometimes happy face, but
Hmm.
definitely very expressive,
Yeah, very descriptive. Yeah.
very descriptive. Um, and then the title, definitely seeing the caps, seeing a lot of
Hmm.
caps. Um, what else? Give me some more thumbnail gems here. What are some of the other
Oh
things
man,
that you
if
do?
okay, here's a little thumbnail gem.
Okay.
So let's say I'm making a video. There's very video formats, I guess. They
Yeah.
span across multiple genres. So I can do 10 tips in FL Studio. But, there's 10 tips in the makeup industry. There's 10 tips in the gaming channel. So on YouTube, I'll just type 10 tips and I'll just scroll through and just look at thumbnails and just see okay, which ones are pulling the views? And then, instead of the makeup brush, it's going to be the piano roll. And that's pretty much all I do for like
Smart.
those ones.
Huge gem right there. Yeah, no, that's really good. Because they're already proving to work, and especially if you can dive into some of these what do you call it, genres or whatever, that have a huge audience, because that means it's really been tested, because there's even more competition. So those ones that are rising to the top are really effective. And so modeling,
that's a good example of like copying and then making it your own as well.
Perfect. Yep. Because you're modeling maybe the structure of it, you're modeling the look of it, the feel of it, but they're talking about makeup and you're talking about, beats or whatever. Yeah, man. Cool. Well, I feel like you dropped a ton of gems today. We talked a little bit about, we did a lot on the course, which I'm excited. I'm glad we did, because I know that that's something that you've been working on. That's something new. We talked about content creation. We talked about working with, other people, playing to your strengths, all kinds of good stuff. I guess, well, actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let me pull up Instagram, because I did ask if anybody had any questions for you. I did it like 5 minutes before we started, so hopefully we at least got a couple in here.
Let me just read the future and say my inspiration is Timberland.
Okay. Question number 1: what's your inspiration?
Pharrell.
Let's see. Not honestly seeing that much. We already answered it all.
They asked about the course. Did they ask about the course?
They all want to know, when is the course dropping?
Monday, September 28th until
Monday, September 28th.
Whenever, Friday, October, whatever.
Which I am so sorry to say is probably, this is probably coming out after that. But
I'm so happy.
But let's see what we can do. If we actually, let me actually see. I don't want to make any promises, because the thing is, like I talked about, we do so much repurposing on these. Like, it's Wednesday right now. Like, we literally, like, let me explain the process just so people know. We've been doing so we have the full video, right, which we do on YouTube. The format on there is we watch through it. We find like a 5 to 10 second clip that's like something that we talked about, that's going to be like, oh, I need to hear the answer to that. So that goes in the front. Then we put the intro. Then we have this whole thing unedited, and then we put an outro. So bam, YouTube, right? Then we go through there. We find a bunch of short-ish, 15 to 15 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes that we can do for like Instagram feed. Some of those 15 seconds for reels now, which is getting a ton of engagement at the moment right now, of course, because it's the new thing. So it just makes sense to do. We're going to take the sort of like overall, what we talked about, that's going to become a blog post, try to optimize that for SEO a bit. We're going to take that blog post, chop it down a little bit. That's going to be the email blast that's going to go out. That's going to let you guys know about this episode. We're going to take that even smaller, but with timestamps for the show notes. That's also going to go into the YouTube description as well as the podcast description. I forgot. We also have the full audio version, which will be different as far as the intro, but more or less the same as far as that full one. We're going to be creating content for IGTV. So we'll have like a couple longer vertical clips. We'll also have probably 2 or 3 like 5 to 12 minute clips for YouTube, for YouTube clips, thumbnails for each of those. Honestly, I could go on. We're going to have some quote cards, right? We'll pick out a couple cool quotes from here. We'll have, find some pictures of you, find some pictures of me, create quote cards that we're going to be posting up. We're going to have a teaser, little like cool image that says this podcast is dropping tomorrow. Bro, there's more. There's honestly more. We have they're called audiograms, where we'll take the audio and have a little animation playing. That'll be in vertical format for like a story. Wait, is there more? I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2. So it's a process. So anyways, hopefully that's it. interesting or inspiring to somebody to see like, okay, you can create so much content out of that thing. And
Mhm.
also letting you know if there's any way I can drop this on Monday, I will, because that would be awesome. You know,
Honestly, the
your
stuff you
course.
said, it sounds like you're gonna drop it like 2022.
It might be, but here's the thing: it's not me doing everything, not even close.
Yeah,
We got a
there it
team,
is. Yeah.
and so I'll see what we can do. Definitely no promises, but you know, either way, whatever you got going on, everybody should go check it out, even if the course is closed for now. And if it is closed by the time they hear this, it is eventually going to be reopened. You know, right, with the evergreen and all that good stuff.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, this has been fun. I would say anything, you know, let the people know where they can find you, what, you know, what you're up to. And if you do, no pressure, but if you have any parting words of wisdom, maybe toss those in there as well.
I'm gonna skip the words of wisdom part. But yeah, you can follow me on YouTube, Servida Music. Also on Instagram. Honestly, just Google me, Simon Servida. I think I'll pop up if I did my SEO correctly.
Nice. Bam. Google Simon Servida. There it is. Grab the course if it's still available. Man, really appreciate you taking the time. This is fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Talk soon.